it seems that they
I left
can't
my water.
speak
Okay,
more.
excellent.
So they write on the
Thank you.
panel
Go ahead.
here
It's a
that you
go.
can start
We're ready. Perfect.
Okay. All right. Can you see my screen with
Yes.
blood doesn't lie at the top?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. He also says he can see your screen.
All right. So I'll give myself about 45 minutes. Is that
That's
about
great.
right?
Thank you.
Time-wise?
We'll work it out. Yeah, this is why I miss you being here. You bring this electron microscope that I want one. And you look at the blood, you take people's blood.
Okay.
Perfect.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Dr. Nick Delgado. And the subject is not only blood doesn't lie, but what we're going to go into is the whole issue of aging, dealing with the immune system, how to improve your strength, how to look great and feel great, and really kind of get to the origin of most health challenges. I often ask people, how many here are under stress? And virtually everyone in the audience raises their hand, right? How many people are struggling to achieve your ideal body weight? And again, most of the hands go up. And then I ask a more important question. What are you willing to do to make the changes necessary to help you to become stronger physically, emotionally, and also what changes within your diet will be necessary? How are we going to bring your immune system up to its peak of operation while at the same time allowing you the ability to exercise on a daily basis and recover from that exercise so that your body rejuvenates and encourages the replication of what's called mitochondria, helps to reduce or clear oxidative stress, free radical damage, and most importantly, absorb the nutrients your body needs. This is a special talk because what I've done is I've gone about reviewing the literature and really kind of identifying what it is that makes the difference between healthy, strong, fit people throughout their lifetime and those who struggle and never quite reach their goals. Biological medicine really starts with the mindset, and the quality of life is a determination that basically when you follow these steps on a daily basis, you're going to see extraordinary results. I'm fortunate that I was good friends with Bob Del Matique, who at the age of 84, shown here, incredibly muscular, fit, and strong. And actually to his left is Kelly Nelson, shown here at age 74, and Colleen, the daughter of Kelly, at the age of 44. And of course, none other than Jack LaLanne, shown in the center of the screen with yours truly, Nick Delgado. And below that, showing Bob Del Matique at age 17, 67, and at age 80, getting better with age. Of course, we know the story of Jack LaLanne and how he had stayed on a fitness program, the longest running program in television history. And every morning people would wake up to Jack LaLanne exercising, and it would really kind of motivate people to get up off the couch and start exercising, thinking about eating whole natural foods, really getting that right mindset. And, you know, he's the most incredible role model, I think, for all of us, living to the age of, I believe, 95, where I can tell you this, that when you think about some of the people who have accomplished incredible results during their lifetime, one thing they had in common, and what was that? They had incredible energy, they looked great, they felt great, they exercised on a regular basis. Not excessive exercise, but consistent, regular exercise. And I've learned in my lifetime, having pursued 2 world strength endurance records, that the body does require balance. And it's important that you get into kind of a consistent regime that we're going to talk about the 5 principles that it takes to achieve ideal optimum health. That's right. What does it take to take your health to the next level? Within the next 30 days, I want you to start feeling the difference, seeing the progress. I want you to be able to express how you are improving. And more importantly, I want you to use that as a biofeedback system. Are you getting the 5 steps fit in on a daily basis? Well, one of them, regardless of your choice, is called sleep. And sleep is absolutely essential to good health. And yet, I think we take for granted this mysterious thing that happens to all of us as night approaches, with the exception of those night owls who are up all night or maybe working the late night shift. But the reality is circadian rhythms cause the body to need to shut down and rejuvenate in the middle of the night. The hormones rejuvenate, the enzymes, the bodily process have a chance to come together. And it's not just the act of laying in bed and not essentially moving, because when you're sleeping, you are moving to a degree. Not a lot, but your body twitches and moves and rolls. But what's going on internally is what's exciting. The body requires the right nutrients, the right what's called methyl donors. That helps the body undergo 1 billion chemical reactions per second. And even while you're sleeping, your body is undergoing all of these chemical reactions, biological processes. And so that way, when you wake up in the morning, ideally, you're waking up refreshed and you need no stimulants whatsoever. Now, granted, I know a majority of people, even around the world, wake up to a cup of coffee, right? I'm here to tell you that really under optimum conditions, that should be something that you resort to on those rare occasions where possibly you need an extra boost, but not on a regular basis. Really, quite frankly, the body operating under its best conditions should have amazing ability to sustain you throughout the day, mentally, physically, and emotionally. These are the things that we all live for. So once again, we can first start by looking to those who have, during their lifetime, made extraordinary accomplishments, and they have something in common. They have these 5 steps in common. So number 1, at night, sundown, somewhere around there, darken your room, be in a quiet room, and I'm going to advocate what's called neural reprogramming tapes, where you listen. It's an 8-hour tape. While you're sleeping, we have 1.5-hour sleep cycles, and oftentimes many people do wake up in the night, use the restroom or whatever, and you go back to sleep, but while you're listening to this tape. Now, it could be that you're aware of the tape while you're sleeping, but the reality is you are also, when you wake up, listening to this tape, so it calms you down, relaxes you. Those of you who struggle with getting a good night's sleep, this will get you into the right mindset. It'll relax you. It'll help you because there's special, what's called binaural music, and it helps you along with the soothing words to get into what's called a theta state, and then delta. Delta is sleep. Theta is a highly alert learning state. That's the chance or the time when we can program the subconscious mind to do virtually anything that we want to accomplish during our coming days, weeks, and months. And this is where I always encourage people, just before sleep and upon waking. These are the 2 critical times that we can do the best to access the mind. Although those of us who are experts in neural reprogramming, we can basically, in the course of the day, take a break at lunchtime or an afternoon break and access the unconscious mind by first relaxing the mind and the body. And that process is a simple process that I'm going to share with you during our discussion. But I'd like to really talk to you about those who've achieved extraordinary results and give you examples of using these 5 steps in no particular order. I'm going to start first with Bernardo Lapello. Here's a gentleman who lived to the age of 115 years of life, quality life. You see him standing upright in a picture here at 106, smiling, able to walk and exercise every morning. He would wake up upon sunrise and go for a 2-mile walk. He would make sure that he boiled his water because his father, who was a physician, felt it was important to be free of potential microbes. And of course, boiling water is probably a good practice. And then letting it cool down, of course, and drinking the water. He also was mostly plant-based whole food individual, meaning he ate fruits, vegetables, beans, peas, salads, and used little or no oils. The oils he used, he would use in a garlic preparation to absorb some of the nutrients within those herbs. And so it's really quite exciting to consider that through this process, Bernardo Lapello set an example for all of us, because as he wrote a book, author of Living Beyond 100, he also established that two of the core principles, one being quality sleep, going to bed at sunset. So let's be realistic, 8 o'clock or towards 9 o'clock at night. Do your best to get yourself to go to your room, put on a neuroreprogramming tape. I'd love you to go to our website, nickdelgado.com. You'll have access to the section called neuroreprogramming, and that will help you to access that deepest theta and then delta and the deepest subconscious mind. So that's the first step, sleep. Number two, the nutritional quality of your foods, the richness of fruits and vegetables, beans and peas, and whole natural grains and so forth, give you the antioxidants, the phytochemicals necessary to be very healthy. And of course, there's a detoxification factor to eating these whole unprocessed foods because they're rich in fiber and they attract chemicals and toxins and pull it right out of the body. I would like to further give you the concept that in nutrification, we want to make sure that we're getting the right herbal supplements. So just to go through it simply, I'm going to go through a list of supplement ingredients that you will benefit, and it will make a tremendous difference in your health and the quality of your life. And the next is what we call fortification. Fortification is where we stimulate the repair, the release of stem cells, the mitochondria. We go through this process, and that's going to make a huge difference as well. And I would be remiss if I didn't include the power of exercise. And I mentioned Bernardo Lapello would get up and walk every morning. I also like to include weightlifting, a variety of exercises that emphasize the back muscles, the legs, the chest, the arms, the breathing. And the breathing is really important. Please keep in mind, breathing should be through the nose, even when you're exercising at a higher level. Learn and focus and concentrate rather than there may be a tendency to want to breathe in and out when you're getting, into heavy exercise. You're actually going to find it's a conditioning thing. And as you learn, the best athletes learn to breathe through their nose and then thereby stimulating the release of what's called nitric oxide. It is a more efficient way to breathe. It helps to basically stimulate the best in terms of reduction of what's called sleep apnea. It helps to improve an individual's overall energy level as well. So, okay, so I think we're kind of clear about that. And I wanted to emphasize one of the other steps is detoxification, using infrared spas, outdoor exercise where you're perspiring, taking enough fiber to draw toxins out, but really importantly are herbs that tend to detoxify the body. And we're going to talk about turmeric and ashwagandha and so forth. We're going to get to that here in a little bit. But so Bernardo Lapello, a good example, employing at least 4 of the 5 critical steps to quality of life and longevity. The only one he didn't employ is the advancements of using bioidentical hormones, of using certain stem cell procedures and mitochondrial release. So these are some advanced things that Dr. Jeffrey Life, who is shown here next, at the age of 81, shown on the screen here, age 54, 64, 77, and forgive me, but 81, there's another picture of he and I together during a recent interview in December of 2019. And December 25th was his birthday. And it's interesting that here's a guy that, as a medical doctor, he had access to all the right information, but he had that pot belly. You can see he was out of shape. He really wasn't, the picture of health per se. And he even admitted himself, his energy wasn't very good. It was hard for him to focus during work and to accomplish his daily chores. That being said, he was able to be introduced to Bill Phillips, and Bill Phillips had a challenge. And it was a fitness challenge based on a particular book that he had come out with. And Bill Phillips actually offered a Corvette, the car Corvette, for the winner who would compete that year to win this Fit for Life type competition. And it turns out that Jeffrey Life applied for the principles. He had a personal trainer work out with him. He ate whole natural foods. He worked out. He did all the things, including optimizing his hormone levels, particularly testosterone. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, and estrogen levels, clearing the harmful ones out. And also, it's interesting that he won the contest. He won the Corvette. It was quite exciting for him to have accomplished that. And then at the age of 77, he even looks a little bit more lean. He went over to a plant-based whole foods diet more so. He still ate some animal product, but emphasizing a great preponderance of his diet from oil-free plant-based foods. And so I think the reason was that he was on the court step of a court matter that was very stressful for him, and he had angina, chest pain, and he realized after seeing his doctor that his arteries were clogged up from years and years of eating animal-based products. Even though he looked good, the animal-based products were not good for him, and nor are they good for you. So the point was he shifted over to a plant-based whole foods diet. Over time, the angina went away, just like it did for me. When I was a young man in my 20s, by the age of 21, I had suffered a stroke, believe it or not, a TIA, transient ischemic attack, and I had high blood pressure. I was struggling with my body weight being higher than ideal. Unfortunately, I learned, although I was already exercising and practicing, what I thought was sufficiently a good diet, it wasn't. I had to change. I had to step back and change my diet to be one in which it embraced the principles of whole food eating. And this was one of the first books I wrote, Grow Young and Slim. And I also wrote another book, How to Look Great and Feel Sexy. And so, all of these things kind of came together. So, Jeffrey Life is a great motivation. But for myself, I got the opportunity in 1992 to work with Tony Robbins, other than the individual who has been responsible for some of the great events around the world. You're seeing him on these live streams with Dean Graciosa lately. And I want to say that I had the most incredible opportunity working very closely with Tony Robbins. And we designed a 9-day program called Mastery University. And I was in charge of the health and analytic part of the testing, where we looked at people's blood under a high-powered microscope. And it was really quite an exciting opportunity. I got to tell you, the live blood analysis is something that I've been doing for a better part of 43 years, but we actually tested nearly 1,000 people during these events, and we checked their weight, their blood pressure. We actually measured principally their lipids, cholesterol, triglycerides, HDL and LDL, the good and bad cholesterol, and their blood sugar, their glucose. And the average person did end up losing about 2 to 3 pounds. And over the course of time, as we followed up with them in 6-month intervals, up to 6 pounds a week were reduced during that initial phase. But then thereafter, they stabilized and continued to lose about 1 pound or so a week. Eventually, within a year, many of the people reach their ideal body weight. And I'm excited about that. If you look at the picture of Tony Robbins holding his hand up, and actually to the right of his right hand there, the second person over, that's me without my shirt on, because we were doing a competition for all the guys and trying to have the women in the audience choose who was the healthiest, sexiest, and the most desirable. And I won that contest. And I'm not bragging, I'm just saying that's what happens when you follow the principles of good health and well-being. I published this in my book, Grow Young and Slim. I reported the findings of, in only 9 days, you could find a 42% reduction in triglycerides, a 30% reduction in the total cholesterol, as well as the biggest drop being in the bad LDL cholesterol, and improvements overall in their blood pressure, weight, and liver and kidney function. So I'm also very proud to have worked with Mr. Bob Whelan. Bob Whelan served our country in Vietnam. He lost his legs during the war and in a tragic accident trying to save one of his comrades. But here's a picture wearing a t-shirt, Delgado Optimal Medical, and he entered the New York City Marathon and walked across the entire course, taking, I believe, 94 hours, one step at a time, just kind of dragging his body through. Bob Whelan also went on to bike across America, besides even doing the most incredible walk across America on his hands and bottom there, as you can see. He went on to meet President Reagan and wrote me an incredible note to me, and here's an article without which having Nick Delgado to guide him, he would have never accomplished that goal. But I do remember distinctly, he was using some of our supplements. He was eating more of the plant-based whole foods diet. It's interesting what a person can accomplish when they set their mind to it. So keep in mind then your arterial system, your inflammation levels, your oxidative stress, autoimmune dysfunction, all of these things play a difference in the body overall. Now, what happens tragically if someone is facing the risk or the problem of cancer? Max Gerson, and there's a book he wrote, A Cancer Therapy, Results of 50 Cases, and the subtitle is The Cure of Advanced Cancer by Diet Therapy, a summary of 30 years of clinical experimentation. This book documents and categorizes the various types of cancers that Max Gerson was able to help individuals to literally shrink the tumors without chemo, without radiation. Dr. Tony Jimenez, MD and ND, wrote a book, Hope for Cancer, and he talks about not only using that type of a diet, but also employing several other interventions. So the average patient consumed during 1 year by juicing them, I would advocate juicing and maybe a combination of blending, because blending also includes the fiber as well, but the average patient consumed 1,800 pounds of carrots, 1,300 pounds of apples, 145 heads of red cabbage, 400 heads of lettuce, 125 pounds of green peppers, and these foods, of course, are rich in potassium. And I would also then go on to say that these foods obviously are much lower in oils and fats. And so many of the cancers responded incredibly well. The documentation shows this to be, an incredible outcome. Now, I want to talk about the immune system as we discuss this, because when you're talking about cancer and you're talking about the immune response, and in the nation, these problems with the COVID, the issues of what is abbreviated as the coronavirus, I really want people to understand that one of the cores of your immune system begins with what's called adrenal function. And adrenal function also plays a role in the ability not only manage stress, but also addictions, overeating, the ability to excrete toxins that must exit the liver. And so it really is important to recognize that a series of herbs that support adrenal function. An adrenal gland is located on top of the kidney. They're very small, probably about the size of your maybe two thumbs put together, I guess would be the best description. And it's really radically important to understand that when you're using the support of the hormonal load that can be off of your adrenal glands, the proprietary blend of adaptogen herbs, adrenal cortex, the use of these particular adrenals to support improved mood, sleep, hormonal balance, and overall better health. So keep in mind, if you're feeling under the weather, it's okay to take extra amounts of these particular herbs that I'm going to describe shortly. And really, they have what's called an antiviral, antibiotic type capability specific to the herbs that we're about to suggest. And also the ability of the adrenal glandulars that help to support healthy cortisol and the immune response. Really, the benefits are numerous. More energy, reduce in chronic and acute fatigue, improve concentration, focus, work productivity. It balances the stress hormones, including adrenaline. It enhances mood, promotes a good night's sleep, supports the immune support, and really overall reversing the root cause of stress and fatigue. And I want to go on to say that there are some products out on the market that might mask the symptoms of stress or adrenal fatigue. And what I mean by that is they load it up with a lot of, say, caffeine derivative type products. And sure, you feel energized at that time, but you'll find that over time, that is not getting to the cause, and you end up exacerbating or making it worse, these overall symptoms of stress and anxiety and the ability to recover from these conditions. So many people suffer from chronic fatigue, are at far greater risk to be susceptible to infectious diseases and conditions, particularly during pandemics. So what I want to say is the ideal is to take a naturally derived cortisol that comes from an adrenal cortex, licorice root, for basically almost instant stress and fatigue relief, and also for long-term adrenal gland support. Now, what I mean by also the herbal immunity boosters, natural antiviral, antibacterial properties, that must include, for sure, echinacea. Echinacea is a superstar herb that really does support healthy immune factors. Grapefruit seed extract also has been shown to be a good target of microbes and various issues that can challenge your immune system. Licorice root, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, is going to help support the production of healthy nutrient-producing hormones. And I want to also talk about the incredible benefits of garlic. For years, scientists and educators have studied garlic. And yes, the very garlic herb that you think about, the little garlic bulbs. And we have included this proprietary blend with garlic because it does help you to be sick less often, you heal faster, and this potent blend, and I'll go so far as to say that I think we have to include cranberry extract, grapefruit seed, I mentioned the garlic bulb, and caprylic acid, which is kind of a derivative of coconut that targets the fungus that some people build up quite a bit, particularly those who are overdoing the intake of sugars. Tea tree leaf, you've heard of tea tree oil, but the tea tree leaf is very, very highly revered in its ability to calm down and reduce inflammation. Sensorol is a trademarked combination of ashwagandha and the root and the leaf, and this is really well studied in terms of its ability to reduce fatigue and adrenal factors. And so maybe you've heard of polycosanol. This also is one of these superpower nutrients that help support a healthy immune system. Wild cherry bark and Limonium root tend to target RNA and DNA viruses. So you really have the need and the benefit of bringing together these very special herbs and glandulars. So just once again, remember the adrenal glands play a role in several vital factors. They're responsible for regulating stress, the ability to manage stress. They actually help to improve the production of cortisol, which is one of the most important hormones in the entire body. In other words, if you didn't have enough cortisol, you literally would die within minutes. It's that critical. So it's essential, this combination, to immunity, controlling inflammation. And lastly, when you produce this important hormone that we call cortisol and rely less on the adrenal hormone, that basically regulates blood pressure, mood, energy, and metabolism. So if a person is suffering from adrenal fatigue and it remains untreated, your health will progressively decline. And so we don't want that to happen, of course. So you want to feel well physically, mentally, and emotionally, and you'll become less sick, less often, that is. You'll take basically shorten the length of time of recovery, and you may experience complete burnout if you don't go about these types of interventions. So the consequence of ongoing stress and untreated adrenal fatigue include decline in personal and professional productivity, a short fuse or being very irritable and depressed, unnecessary drama in your relationships particularly, and a compromised immune system along with blood sugar disorders, feeling weak, tired, and hangry. Have you heard that comment before? Uncontrolled inflammation and increased risk of inflammatory disease, and even arthritis and fibromyalgia, which is overall body pain. There might even be a greater tendency for weight gain, especially around the midsection, and that increases the risk of several chronic diseases, that is, including diabetes and heart disease. So the reason so many people need adrenal support is we really have a 21st century stress syndrome, and modern day living People dependent on their phones and their text notifications and all these things. It really has become quite a challenge, particularly now when we hear of all of the changes around the world and all the rules and regulations. So I think it makes it even more difficult in people who consume sugar or caffeine and other stimulants. And so I want to, again, encourage those of you who want to reduce irritability and mood swings and reduce that problem of irritability and feeling on edge. If you feel tired, weak, unmotivated throughout the day, no matter how much you sleep, then you know you're going to benefit. And if you have trouble falling and staying asleep despite being tired, it's a sign your adrenal function is not at its optimum level. And even if you've seen a doctor and lab tests and they can't quite figure out why you feel so fatigued or unwell, but you've been told you're perfectly healthy, again, another probable factor showing that it could be adrenal function. You would, of course, want more energy. You want to enhance your brain power throughout the day. You want to become more productive, right? And yet you have also troubles with cravings and weight gain. So it'd be great if you just learn how to address the root cause. So by utilizing this combination of herbs, you'll start feeling better almost within hours, if not days. And over the course of month to month, you'll probably start to feel like a superhero. That's right.
Dr. Delgado,
You'll start
David
to
here.
feel so good. You'll
Hello.
look forward to every day and
Dr.
have that
Delgado.
untapped energy
Hello.
that's so important.
Dr. Delgado,
I think that when you
can you hear me?
just take into account
Dr. Delgado?
this overall issue of healthy body, healthy mind, what is it that you're doing right now that could be better? And I think that one of the most important emotions that we all share in common when we find that love connection, because those who have love and the positive emotions, but it's very difficult if you're stressed and you don't have the ability to manage your cortisol and adrenal function. That is a very important factor. So I would like to encourage you to visit nickdelgado.com. That's nickdelgado.com. And really take advantage of this overall program of well-being and health. And it all starts with managing your these 5 principles. And the 5 principles will repeat and give you guidance in our course program. So I'm seeing my host here who's just joined us. And do you have any questions or comments?
Audience, do you have any question? Dr. Delgado, I have a question. The fatigue could be lack of cortisol level, right?
Okay, I can't quite hear you, but
There's a, let me see.
let's see.
The fatigue is, fatigue could be.
Nope, still don't hear you.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
But I hit record at my end, and I'm not sure if you hit record at your end, but the Zoom, I see you there, but I just don't hear you.
You can't hear me?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, can you hear me? Yes, yes? No? Hello? Hello, hello? No?
Hey, Danny.
Okay, hello, Dr. Delgado.
Okay.
Hello? Yeah, we can chat. Our time is up. I have an extra speaker. I got to chat with the phone.
Okay, so did you want me to continue a little bit, or that pretty much concludes our portion here? Okay, all right.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. God
We'll
bless
check
you.
in at a later time.
And later time, thank you.
All right, everyone, be well, be strong. And this is Dr. Nick Delgado saying visit nickdelgado.com. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.